Of all the female artists in the collection, Châu Giang is perhaps one of the most powerful and unapologetic in her portrayal of Vietnamese women's stories. Her narratives feel intimate and personal, capturing the essence of loneliness, a touch of melancholy in the aspirations of women who have to sacrifice in Vietnamese life. Yet it is still euphoric. It could feel all these complex layers of emotions within a small person. In the woman in the red skirt, Châu Giang portrays an elderly woman in the countryside of Bắc Ninh. She sits on a stool, one hand holding a fan resting on one knee, and the other hand wiping away sweat from the burning heat. The painting surface, which is its coarse bamboo texture, underscore the beauty of the natural, unpretentious existence of women in the countryside. It speaks to the hardships and struggles that these women face, worn down by the passage of time. Can you elaborate further on the origins of this series?
So at that time, Châu Giang came to the north. She's from Hanoi originally. Yeah. She went to Bắc Ninh. She did a whole series she called Village Talk. So she interviewed all these women, and it was all about the sense of community, of women telling stories, sharing time. The actual mat that the women sit on, she used that for her canvas. She stretched it and then made the frame out of just pieces of bamboo. She portrays the woman confronting life. She's looking at you straight. She's very natural in her expression. The old women in the village, you know, they worked really hard and sacrificed a lot for their families. That particular work for me is just the beginning for me to really get to know Châu Giang and how she's so comfortable in revealing the stories of women.
She's clearly working within the established tradition of folding screen painting. In this series, she depicts each figure at nearly life-size, which adds a powerful sense of presence. The women in the central panel create a strong feeling of community and belonging. They're paired off, engaged in close conversation, and surrounded by their pets. It's a very intimate and relatable scene. Then, on the side panels, we have women who appear to be approaching the central gathering, their posture and expression suggesting eagerness to join the ongoing conversation.
And she's not afraid to expose things that are considered maybe you should be a polite, lovely girl, happy to serve your family, and don't expose your own feelings of frustration or isolation. And yet she's very confident to do that. And that's a great source of comfort for these women and how they can complain about their life or tell stories about their husband or whatever. I mean, that's natural. And Châu Giang in particular, she has the strength to show her vulnerability. We did the first exhibition for her in 2002. She was the second exhibition that I had at Hang Tan Street. And she was then about 7 months pregnant. It was all about her falling in love and meeting her husband, and they got married in France because he was studying at the Conservatoire of Music. And she had won this French art prize, so she was studying at the École des Beaux-Arts for a year. The paintings were really beautiful because they were an expression of the love she had for her husband. One of them in particular depicted the sacrifices that she had to make, becoming a mother and becoming a daughter-in-law, or a young bride and a young mother, to feel confident enough and secure to be able to express what are normal feelings. Most women would never express that. The exhibition was especially memorable because her husband went in front of each painting. He would play whatever his feelings were about that particular painting. So it was honest celebration of what love really means. There's actually a painting where she's painting herself pregnant with the baby inside and the violin. it's all part of her life. It was very moving to me to see this young love and promise. She's still confident enough and realistic enough to portray that it's not all roses.
I want to bring up another comparison. Both Châu Giang and Tham explore themes related to women in their art, and their approaches to portraiture diverse significantly. In Châu Giang's work, she usually places herself and her experiences squarely at the center of her narratives, but in Tham's work, she adopts a more subtle approach, often choosing to depict anonymous figures, thereby universalizing the experience that she portrays, moving beyond the specific identity of the subject. I know that in the past you have done exhibitions that revolves around female artists, and you have worked with both of these artists before. Can you compare and contrast these two artistic practice?
I mean, they're both so strong. Their depictions of that strength is very different. Tampone's is universal and anonymous. Châu Giang, she's working out a lot of her own personal issues in her artwork. Tampone, just by the nature of who she is, Taoist way of living.
Have you ever thought about having like an exhibition of those two together?
I think there's some really interesting female artists in Vietnam doing really great work, so I would
should definitely do another women-centered exhibition again.
Yeah, the last one was so long ago.
Yeah.
The Woman's View, yeah.
Châu Giang's work offers a distinct female gaze, a perspective that is often absent or underrepresented in art. From your perspective, how does her vision of the world and specifically her portrayal of women differ from that of her male colleagues?
Male artists tend to depict, of course, women in a very romantic or lovely or seductive or feminine gaze, whereas she feels free and confident enough to express the disappointments and the frustrations.
It's not idealized.
She's so much more realistic. For female artists, especially at that time in the early 90s, they were always making beautiful still lives or portraits of beautiful women, or they would never depict a woman who was angry or frustrated, or like one of Châu Giang's work, she has all the women are wearing a mask. We all wear a mask at times during our lives. She's a bit like a Frida Kahlo, who was also so bold and courageous to depict the difficulties that women have, not just make them some beautiful sex goddess.
Right.
It's brave. Mm.